Okay, so to start off with, I've already applied a primer. I use the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden. Like always, it's my favorite. And now I'm going in with a little bit of the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in white, and I just put a little on my finger. And I'm going to take this all over my lid, just very lightly. I don't want it to be super white. I just want it to be enough so that the other eyeshadow bases or cream eyeshadows will pop a little bit. So it's just a really light layer. I really like the one that comes in a pot. It's a little bit lighter and not as intense as this, but I can't find it right now, so I'm just using this. Okay, now that I've got that on, I'm just going to take my sponge and just go over it and tap it out and make sure that it's blended out really well. Okay, now I am taking another eyeshadow, cream eyeshadow, and this is Sandy Gold from Bobbi Brown. This is super creamy. It's just, I love this eyeshadow base. It does not dry out. I've had it for quite a while and it still has not dried out yet. So I think it's a really, really great product compared to some of the other eyeshadow bases that I have, or cream eyeshadows. And now I'm taking, this is Tough as Taupe from Maybelline, I believe. Yes, Maybelline. And I'm just using my finger and I'm just taking this on the outer part of my eye. And just blending it in. I'm going to keep it on the second half of my eyelid. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and use the brush for this. So this is just a Sigma concealer brush. Just going to use this to pack it on and just blend it out a little bit. And I'm just taking it right up to where my crease is and just tapping it while I'm blending it out. And it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay because we want to blend the edges. I'm taking a little bit underneath my lower lash line, just on the second half. And just making sure to blend it really well and connecting it with that cream shadow on the top right there in the corner. Okay, so now that I've got that on, I'm just going to go over the cream shadow with my sponge. Okay, now I'm taking another color. I've been trying to play with colors a little bit more because I always am like neutral, neutral, neutral. So this is the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Edgy Emerald, and this is super bright. I'm just going to use my finger for this, and I'm going to place this on the middle, right in between those two shades that I just applied. And I'm just using my finger to blend it out on the edges. And this is such a pretty, fun summer shade. I think I did a tutorial with this before using some other colors. So that's what it looks like so far. Okay, now I'm just going to take a blending brush. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back over the eyeshadow, the cream eyeshadows with a sponge, and then I'm going to use my blending brush and just blend that Tough as Taupe just kind of across my crease, just to make sure that the edges are blended really well. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend the bottom too. So now I'm going to go over those cream shadows with a shade that's very similar. So for the Bobbi Brown and Sandy Gold. I'm going to be using this one right here from MAC, and this is called All That Glitters. I'm just going to put that right over that eyeshadow. That cream eyeshadow. I am so confused today, you guys. You get the idea though. And as you can see, it just kind of intensifies that. And it will wear a lot better throughout the day. It will stay on and not fade away as quickly. So I've got that on, and now I'm just going to flip that brush over and use this color right here. This is, I think it's called Lucky Green. Yep, Lucky Green from MAC. And I'm just going to place that over the edgy emerald. And this is a little bit more green, so it's just going to give it like a really nice green tint to that shade. And just packing it on just lightly. Okay, now for the gray, I am using Coquette. No, this is Copper Plate from MAC. It's just a gray that's very, very similar to the Toughest Taupe. So I'm just going to use a different brush and just go over that outer corner. And just packing it on. And I'm not going to be blending this a whole lot. I'm going to also take this underneath my lower lash line. And then for my crease shade, I'm going to use something a little bit warmer. And this is Soft Brown from MAC. This one right here. And I'm going to be using a 217 brush. And this will also just warm that up a little bit, so it's not super gray. And I'm just taking that into the crease. I'm not going over those colors on the lid. I'm just blending right above those. And then I'm also going to take that underneath my lower lash line. And just making sure to blend it out really well. Okay, now for my brow bone, I'm just using Blanc Type. These are all from MAC. I just always go back to my MAC shadows. They just are my favorite, so I just use them a ton. And I'm just taking a pencil brush and just taking this right underneath my eyebrow. I plucked my eyebrows earlier, so they're a little bit red, but it should calm down pretty soon. Okay, so I think we're done with the eyeshadow. I'm going to move along to my liner, and I'm using Blackest Black from L'Oreal Infallible. This is the lacquer liner. I love this. The last one I had dried out, so I picked up a new one. But it just stays on all day. It's like super black. It's probably the best liner that I've ever used, honestly. And it's just super creamy. So I'm using a bent Sedona lace liner brush. And I'm just going to apply this on my top lash line. And just wing it out just a little bit. So I finished my liner, and then I added false lashes. I used the Wispies from Ardell, and now I'm taking a little bit more of the Toughest Taupe eyeshadow, and just using a concealer brush, I'm going to take that along the lower lash line and just blend it out. And then I'm going to go in with Copper Plate, that gray eyeshadow from MAC, this one right here. And I'm just going to take that same brush and just go over that and just work on kind of blending it out. And then I'm just going to take my 217 brush or let's see, this is a MAC 239. I'm going to take that soft brown and just take that right underneath the copper plate and just blend it out a little bit. Okay, now for concealer, I'm using MAC's Pro Longwear Concealer, of course. It is my absolute favorite, and the shade I'm using today is NC20. And I am going to use my finger and just tap it right underneath the eyeshadow. And I'm just trying to get as close as I can to the eyeshadow without getting too close to my lash line. I want to keep that color there, but I also want to clean up the edges. So I'm going to take a little bit more and bring it down. And then last, I'm just going to take my sponge and just go over the concealer. Okay, now I'm taking my nude liner from Rimmel and I'm just lining my lower waterline. And then mascara, I'm using L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. And lightly coat the top lashes. And then I'm taking another mascara. This is Jordana's Best Lash Extreme. And I'm going to apply this on my lower lashes. Now moving on to the rest of my face, I already applied my bronzer and I use that as my contour, and this is what I've been using lately. It's the dark MSF from MAC, and I just used a big fluffy brush like this one. This is the MAC 129, and I just used it to lightly contour. Okay, now for blush, I'm using MAC's Melba blush, and I'm just applying this to the back of my cheeks. This is a really natural, pretty blush. And when I have like more dramatic eyes, I just like to use something super natural on my cheeks. And this blends in really well with that MSF in dark. And then for highlight, I've been using also another really natural highlight, and this is Perfectly Lit from Lorac in Spotlight. And I'm just using an angled brush and I'm applying this just to the top of my cheekbones and then a little bit onto my temples. And this is so pretty, it's so natural. And then I'm just applying it a little bit where I put my highlight. Okay, now I'm going to take my sponge again. I'm going to get it wet with some Fix Plus and just kind of tap it all over, and this will just help everything blend in together really nicely and look really natural. Okay, for lips, I'm using Please Me from MAC. This is kind of like my go-to lipstick. Pretty much goes with anything. And then I'm using Makeup Forever 15C. And this is the Aqua Lip Pencil. I like this because it helps my lipsticks stay on for a really long time. And it's like the exact same color as Please Me. And that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look.